I feel like it's good to address the most common questions I get from patients who are actively going through the process of treating their hearing loss that they got over the course of their life. One of the bigger ones is, do I really need to treat my hearing loss? Can I just learn American Sign Language? There's more to that than somebody thinks. American Sign Language is its own language with its own sentence structure, with its own dialogue, with its own slang, with its own community of people who effectively use this as their primary language and have found ways to use ASL to communicate with people whose primary language is spoken English, which does not directly translate, as some may think. As somebody who is an avid ASL learner myself, a lot of it is hard to master because of the infrequency of my ability to use it. So when somebody asks me, is it possible for me to just learn an entirely new language instead of treating my hearing loss and utilizing the skills I already have? My question is, does anybody in your world sign? Because not only are you primarily spoken for communication, which is the way most of my patients have been for their entire lives, there's also a solid chance that most of the family members around them are also primarily using spoken language as well. And so when we have hearing loss, there's a huge risk of depression from social isolation, from the inability to maintain conversation without it taking a lot of extra effort and energy. There's a predisposition for isolating yourself just because of how exhausting it is. If we choose, instead of treating the loss with hearing aids and supporting our current method of communication, instead we pivot to a brand new language, most of the time we are not getting rid of the isolation in that sense. Because now, unless somebody is going to learn a language to communicate with you effectively, you are now isolated in a different way. That is not to be said for folks who are in deaf culture. That's the way they've been their whole life. That is not a change for them to learn to speak spoken or to work on auditory and spoken language. Is at their discretion. It's something they've always had in their life. But for us to go one way for most cases, 5 or 6 decades, right? And all of a sudden now we're just going to take up a whole new language. It's going to take a lot of mental gymnastics for us to learn that, for us to figure out the abstract processes behind it. And then on top of that, now to find people who also speak it. And so is it a solution? I'll let you decide.